අද්විතීය 200 Mbps ස්පීඩ් එකකින් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ වේගවත්ම සහ පුළුල්තම හෝම් බ්‍රෝඩ්බෑන්ඩ් සම්බන්ධතාවය වන SLT Mobitel දේශීය ෆයිබර් බලවේගය ඔබත් අදම අත්විඳින්න.
හරිම සුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Saturday the 12th of August 2023. Reviewing reforms. State Minister of Finance is confident in obtaining the second tranche from the IMF following the conclusion of the progress review next month. Digitalization. Sri Lanka is determined to move forward with digital transformation, says the President's Chief of Staff.
Digital services will be the best way forward.
Dollar inflows. Sri Lanka records $541 million foreign remittances in July. Earns $3.3 billion between January and July.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක. Rhino Cement Roofing Sheets. හොඳම මිලට කල් පවතින වහරයක්.
This is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to AdaDerana First at 9. I'm AdaDerana joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now in your top story tonight, State Minister of Finance Ranjith Siambalapitiya said he is confident that Sri Lanka will be able to receive the second tranche of the IMF bailout package following the first progress review meeting with the IMF. Addressing the media, the State Minister went on to say that the IMF surely sees the government's dedication towards the implementation of the IMF program in a transparent manner.
අපි ආරම්භ කරපු වැඩසටහන පිළිබඳ IMF සමග සමාලෝචනයක් තියෙනවා. ප්‍රථම වතාවට සැප්තැම්බර් මාසයේ 11 පටන් ගන්න 19 වෙනිදා දවස් 8ක විතර සමාලෝචනයක්. විශේෂයෙන් මහ බැංකුව මුදල් අමාත්‍යාංශය අවසාන වශයෙන් මුදල් අමාත්‍යතුමා ජනාධිපතිතුමා ආදී සම්බන්ධ වෙලා කරන සමාලෝචනයක්. ඉතින් අපි ඇත්තටම සාර්ථකව මේ වැඩසටහනට මුහුණ දීලා තියෙනවා කියන එක අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන්. අපිට තිබුණා IMF වැඩසටහනක් කරනකොට පූර්ව එකඟතා 9ක්. කලින් සිදු කළ යුතු. ඒ 9ම අපි ඉෂ්ට කළා. ඒ වගේම මේ තව 35-40ක් වාගේ තිබුණා. අපි කළ යුතුම විශේෂ ආර්ථිකමය වෙනස්කම්. ඒ වෙනුත් අපි 80ක් විතර මේ වෙනකොට ඉෂ්ට කළා. විශේෂයෙන් කිව්වොත් තිබුණු අභියෝගාත්මක මතභේදයට තුඩු දෙන කතාබහට ලක් වෙන බොහෝ දේවල් අපි මේ වෙනකොට කරලා ඉවරයි. ඒ නිසා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා මොකද IMF එකක් දකිනවා අපි තාමත් උවමනාවෙන් විනිවිදභාවයෙන් යුතුව මේ වැඩසටහන ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම සඳහා රජය කැප වුණා කියන එක ගැන මම හිතන්නේ ඔවුනුත් දකිනවා. ඒ නිසා අපිට තාම සාර්ථකව මේ සමාලෝචනයේට මුහුණ දීලා දෙවනි වාරිකයට යන්න පුළුවන් කියලා මම විශ්වාස කරනවා.
මේ තත්ත්වය තුළ ඔබතුමාලට සැප්තැම්බර් මාසයේදී ලැබෙයි කියලා විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවද?
ඔව් විශ්වාස කරනවා. මොකද අපිට අපි මේ මූලික එකඟතාවය ඇති කරගත්තේ ඩොලර් බිලියන 2.9කට 2027 වෙනසුරු 8 වතාවකට මේක ලැබෙන විදිහට. අපි පළවෙනි වාරිකය ගත්තා. දෙවනි වාරිකය ඩොලර් මිලියන 350කට ආසන්න මුදලක්. මම විශ්වාස කරනවා මේ සමාලෝචනයෙන් පස්සේ සැප්තැම්බර් මාසයේ අපිට ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා.
Meanwhile, President's Chief of Staff Sagala Ratnayaka said the government is determined to move forward with the digital transformation against a backdrop where demand is increasing towards digital services offered by the public sector. Addressing an event in Colombo, the Chief of Staff said that digitalization will help the members of the public to obtain quality services from the government.
The first technical session of the ICT Lawyers Guild was held recently with the participation of Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya, Attorney General Sanjay Rajaratnam and President's Chief of Staff Sagala Ratnayaka.
Digital services in Sri Lanka started a long time ago. The banking sector was one of the first to get into it. But they were all private institutions providing these digital services. But the demand now is for public digital services. To cut down on corruption, to cut down on bureaucracy, to make it easier for our citizens to be able to get serviced by their governments and other services. We are also determined to go down the path of digital transformation. Digital transformation doesn't have to be reinvented for a country like Sri Lanka. It is a matter of how we adjust it to suit us in our environment. We will be starting with the platform that India has used. It's called the MOSIP platform, and we will start with the UDI. Initially, it has been planned to capture 76 fields which I think will defeat the whole purpose of this platform. So we are now discussing how we bring it down to 5 or 6 simple fields: your name, your address, you're a male or a female, the date of birth, and maybe a couple of other important fields. The others we'll build in as modules: the fertilizer subsidy module, the social welfare benefit module, so on and so forth, and your payment modules. All the government services over a period of time will be transformed into this digital sphere. So now we are going into this rapidly. We should have been moving much faster, but in the next few years we will go into it rapidly. And along with this will have to be the legal structure to support it. It is critical that we do go down this path. It will help our citizens to receive their services in an efficient manner and in a transparent manner. And this is what all citizens expect. It's not only the citizens, even investment will expect this. Nobody will come in to invest in a country where they see the goalposts being moved the entire time. So digital infrastructure, digital services will be the best way forward.
Now, with more on digitalization, Chairman of the Export Development Board, Dr. Kingsley Bernard, says digitalization is a wanted luxury for Sri Lanka in a bid to improve the efficiency of business services. Addressing the panel discussion during an event that launched key trade facilitation initiatives in Sri Lanka, Dr. Bernard highlighted that Sri Lanka will lose the race of development with other competitors if the country is unable to digitalize its business processes.
How might digitalization empower agencies like EDB and the traders in boosting exports?
If you look at digitalization and digital innovation, one key feature is automation of manual processes. By doing that, we save resources, money, energy, and time. If you look at the world reality, without digitalization, we might not be able to survive even. Some say we have even passed the era of digitalization and we are in the era of sustainability. But whatever the situation is, we are at the stage of digitalization in our country. We see the ground realities by digitalization. Most of the public sector and government organizations compel to rethink, revisit their processes and their business systems. So as a result of that, we can improve the efficiency of our services. Then when it comes to payment gateways, making payment at your convenience, at the time that you want to do that, wherever you are, you can connect through mobile networks, and also you can make use of physical presence in certain places where you have the opportunities to get into online facility. When it comes to market data analysis, we come across large amounts of data. We are not in a position to analyze or look at those data in a constructive manner unless we have techniques such as data analytics, big data analysis, and AI. So therefore, without digitalization, you may not be able to do that. Now, we will be online. We will be assessing the situation at any given point of time. We can look at the markets, market opportunities, evaluate the costs involved in it, analyze the risks, and take precautionary measures. With digitalization, you can have the speed. You are in the league of developed countries and developing countries at the moment. Now, this is a wanted luxury, and without that, we might not be able to survive in the big race.
Now, Sri Lanka records $2,823 million as inward foreign remittances from January to June this year. Meanwhile, Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manushanana Kara stated that the cumulative remittances by the Sri Lankan global workforce so far during the year, including in the month of July, has reached $3,363.6 million.
The central bank revealed that Sri Lanka received $2.8 billion as foreign remittances during the first half of this year. Accordingly, this records an increase of 75.3% from the corresponding period of 2022, which recorded a substantially lower value of $1.6 billion. On aggregate, the central bank statistics note that Sri Lanka earned $3.7 billion as inward foreign remittances in 2022. Meanwhile, on social media, Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manushanana Kara added that the cumulative remittances by the Sri Lankan global workforce has reached $3.36 billion with the addition of $541 million as inward foreign remittances in July this year. The figure of $541 million in July marks a massive boost compared to the $475.7 million earned in the previous month.
Now, following further developments of the bus accident in Turkey, the Sri Lankan embassy in Ankara confirmed today that a total of 24 Sri Lankans have been discharged from hospitals. However, 5 patients, including a patient in the ICU, are still receiving treatment. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs assured that they are in close coordination with the Sri Lankan embassy in Ankara to check the well-being of the Sri Lankans injured during the bus accident in Istanbul.
Meanwhile, today, the Foreign Ministry issued a statement regarding the incident. The ministry said that out of the 29 Sri Lankans involved in the accident, 9 are currently undergoing treatment in 3 different hospitals in Istanbul, while the remaining 22 who were being treated in hospitals were discharged on the same day. The statement noted that the Sri Lankan embassy in Ankara is in constant contact with the company that employed the Sri Lankans and the hospital authorities regarding the condition of the injured and the provision of necessary assistance. Further, the Sri Lankan embassy is also in contact with the Turkish Foreign Ministry regarding the investigation into the incident. The Minister of Foreign Affairs said that they are closely monitoring the situation and in the process of taking necessary measures in coordination with the Sri Lankan embassy in Ankara to ensure the well-being and the recovery of the affected Sri Lankans. This evening, the Sri Lankan embassy in Ankara confirmed that 4 more Sri Lankans were discharged from hospitals, raising the total number of discharged Sri Lankans to 24. 5 individuals are still receiving treatment in 2 hospitals in Istanbul. This includes a Sri Lankan in critical condition receiving treatment in the ICU.
Today, consul officer from the embassy visited to the hospitals in Istanbul where the Sri Lankan nationals have been admitted for treatment, and it was learned that as of today, 12th August 2 o'clock, only 5 Sri Lankans are being treated in 2 different hospitals, and the rest of the 24 Sri Lankans have been discharged. Further, one of the Sri Lankan nationals, although the Turkish recruiting agent informed the embassy that he undergone a surgery yesterday and recovering, after the visit of the consul officer to the hospital, it is learnt that he is still in critical condition and in ICU, and also there has been no surgery done yet and he is not out of danger. The doctors are continuously monitoring his situation and awaiting until his heartbeats and breathing patterns are stabilized to proceed with further treatment and surgery. Also, the consul officer contacted spouse of the Sri Lankan national and conveyed his current medical status. So they are well aware of his situation. The embassy is in close contact with the doctors from these 2 hospitals and continuously obtaining updated health medical condition of the Sri Lankans.
Now, leader of the Tamil Makkal Thesiya Kuttani Shivi Vigneshwaran said Sri Lanka can only move forward with the successful implementation of programs while President Ranil Wickremesinghe is in power, adding that power claimed by the central government must be returned. Meanwhile, parliamentarian of the Samaga Jana Balavegiya Harshana Rajakaruna said his party states that a no-confidence motion will be tabled against the Minister of Health in the near future. With that, here are some more views of the political arena shared.
අධිපතිතුමා 13 වෙනි සංශෝධනය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න මොකද්ද කරන්න ඕනේ ඊයේ මට ටෙලිෆෝන් කරලා කිව්වා දැන් පටන් අරගෙන තියෙනවා දැන් මේකට සහභාගී වෙලා ඒකට ෆුල් සපෝට් එකක් දෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා අහලා තියෙනවා මධ්‍යම ආණ්ඩුවේ ඒ උද්දරගත්ත අයිතිකම ඔක්කොම අපිට ආපසු දෙන්න ඕනේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතා දැන් ඉන්නකොට මේක ක්‍රියාත්මක කරලා මොනවා හරි කරුවෙතින් තමයි ඉදිරියට අපිට එකට යන්න පුළුවන් නැත්තම් මේක වෙන විදිහට හැරෙන්නත් පුළුවන්.
ඉතින් මේ පාලකයෙන් අපි අහන්නේ 13න් ස්ථාපිත කරපු මේ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ මහමෙත කෙනෙක් පත් කරන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න. මේ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ മന്ത്രിවරු පත් කරගන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න. මේ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ඇමතිවරු පත් කරගන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න. පළස් සභාව තියන්න. මොකක්ද හේතුව පළස් සභාව නොතියන්න?
රාජ්‍ය කරන වැඩපිළිවෙල විවේචනය කරනවා. මේ රට ගැන හිතලා ඒ අයගේ වැඩපිළිවෙල මොකක්ද කියලා තාම කියලා නැහැ. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙත් කියලා නැහැ, දේශපාලන වේදිකාවලත් කියලා. ඒ හයිය නැති නිසා තමයි එදා මේක බාරගත්තේ නැහැ.
ලංකාවේ තරුණ පරම්පරාව කල්පනා කරා අපි මේ පාලකයෝ පන්නලා දාලා රට හදා ගන්න ඕන කියලා. හැබැයි අද වේගෙන් ඒ තරුණ පරම්පරාව කල්පනා කරනවා රට හැදින්න පැත්තක දාලා වෙන කොහේ රටකට යන්න.
පක්ෂයක් හැටියට අපි ඉතා පැහැදිලිවම කියනවා සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරයාට විරුද්ධව අපි විශ්වාස භංග යෝජනාව හෙට අනිද්දාම ගන්නවා.
දැන් බලනකොට ඒ කට්ටිය කණ්ඩායමකට ගන්න බැරි තත්ත්වයක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. විපක්ෂය කියන කණ්ඩායමෙත් මේ ප්‍රශ්නය දේශපාලන කෝණයකින් නොවි යථාර්ථවාදීව බලන්න කණ්ඩායමක් සූදානම් වෙලා ඉන්නේ. මොකද සෞඛ්‍ය කියන්නේ මේ රටේ ජනතාවගේ අවශ්‍යතාවයක්. ඒ නිසා දේශපාලනය කරන්න අපි සූදානම් නැහැ කියන පණිවිඩය විපක්ෂයේ නායකතුමාට විපක්ෂයේ යම්මම් ත්‍රිවරු කියලා තියෙනවායි කියන එක මම දන්නවා. ඒ නිසා තමයි මේක පරක්කු වෙන්නේ.
Join us on the other side of the short commercial break for more news.
ගොඩමඩ පෙරලි කරන බලපුළුවන්කාරයා මහින්ද්‍රා යුවෝ ටීමෝ වෙතින්. වැඩම ගොඩයි ගොඩම තමයි. ස්වරාජ් ට්‍රැක්ටර් ටීමෝ වෙතින්.
Welcome back. Now in more local news, a 25-year-old resident of the Pittipan area was gunned down this morning by two unidentified gunmen in Negombo. Meanwhile, 4 suspects carrying 551 kilograms of smuggled kendu leaves were arrested by the Sri Lankan Navy during a search operation conducted yesterday. With that, let's take a look at more news in brief.
In Negombo, Lellama this morning, a youth identified as a resident of the Pittipan area was gunned down. 2 unidentified gunmen who arrived at the scene had opened fire at the 25-year-old and fled the scene. The deceased was pronounced dead after being rushed to the Negombo hospital for further medical attention. The motive behind the attack is yet to be unravelled and further investigations are currently being carried out by the Dungalpitiya police station. The Sri Lanka Navy apprehended 4 suspects with a stock of 551 kilograms of smuggled kendu leaves during a search operation carried out in the Kalpitiya lagoon yesterday. Moreover, 2 dinghies used to smuggle the contraband were also seized during the search operation. Further, the suspects identified as residents of Kalpitiya, aged 17 to 27, were handed over to the Customs Preventive Directorate Office in Katunayaka for further legal proceedings, along with a stock of kendu leaves and 2 dinghies. Meanwhile, 7 Sri Lankan fishermen who were on a fire-hit multi-day fishing trawler in the southwestern waters had been rescued by the Sri Lankan Navy during a special rescue operation. Accordingly, the 7 rescued fishermen were brought to the Galle port today by the SLNS Gajabawa ship of the Sri Lanka Navy. In the meantime, more than 300 acres of land was destroyed following a fire which broke out in the Tabbo sanctuary yesterday evening. The fire was contained after a 10-hour joint effort by the Wildlife Department, the Tabbo Army Camp, the police and the Putla Municipal Fire Department.
Now, direct employment opportunities for Sri Lankan skilled migrant workers in the Russian Federation have been initiated for the first time in the history by the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Moscow in collaboration with the Sri Lankan Foreign Employment Agency. Accordingly, the first group consisting of 58 seamstresses arrived in Russia on the 2nd of August 2023 to be employed at 2 renowned textile manufacturing plants located in Nizhny Novgorod region. The embassy facilitated the said employers to enter into agreements with the Sri Lankan Foreign Employment Agency to recruit those 58 seamstresses without the involvement of intermediate agencies. Meanwhile, discussions are currently underway with the respective regional government authorities in the Nizhny Novgorod region to make more than 700 employment opportunities available for the Sri Lankan skilled seamstresses. Moreover, this embassy, in liaison with the relevant authorities, is in the process of devising a mechanism to create more employment opportunities for Sri Lankan skilled migrant workers in the Russian Federation and other countries of accreditation under a number of technical categories. Now, Minister of Transport and Mass Media Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said an extraordinary gazette including regulation regarding the levy of fees for the license of public performance. According to the gazette notification, every person or entity applying for a legal license for public exhibition in Sri Lanka under the Public Performance Act shall pay a license fee with the accompaniment of the respective application. Further applications for musical and performing shows should be submitted to the board 10 days prior to the date of public exhibition. An extra payment of 25% of the prescribed fee shall be charged on the application submitted thereafter. According to the newly issued gazette, if a new license is required to be obtained in lieu of any misplaced license, a fee of 1,500 rupees is payable. The gazette notification issued by the Minister Bandula Gunawardena will come into effect from the 15th of August this year. Now in your sports news, Isipatana College lost its unbeaten position in the school's rugby league as Royal College Colombo defeated them today in the Super Round. The encounter between Royal College and Isipatana College, which kicked off this evening at the Royal College Sports Complex, was also played for the Major Milroy Fernando Trophy. Royal College Colombo led the first half by 6-3. They also managed to add 16 more points in the second half to raise their score to 22. However, Isipatana was only able to score 14 points in the second half. Meanwhile, in another encounter, Trinity College Kandy retained the Canon R. Deserum Shield by beating St. Thomas Mount Lavinia. The boys from Kandy claimed the victory with a score of 31-20 during the match, which was played at the St. Thomas's College Sports Complex in Mount Lavinia. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of AdaDerana First at 9. Stay in touch with us on www.adaderana.lk for further developments around the clock. Thank you. Have a great night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.